All right, let's go. Good afternoon. Show number two. Afternoon. Man, interesting sermon Sunday. This next show is not this next record is not necessarily going to be about a sermon, more or less. Uh, it's something I thought about the last couple of days. The ways of our parents, in a sense. And what I mean by the ways of our parents, I mean the way we've been raised, the things we've been taught. Ways about to act, the way you talk to carry yourself in public, the way you're taught to do your clothes, cook, the way you were supposed to talk. A lot of things that, we think of, that come from, people that raise us. Your parents could also include your grandparents, aunts, uncles, um, cousins, however, the significance and the makeup of your family. And a lot of times I think in the beginning how I was raised, a lot of things that I was taught, I used to think they were whimsical or nonsense, but now you think back on it, you actually either they reappear, I'm saying unless it's reappear later on as you get older as an adult, because you kind of have a sense to know what to do, or you've always done it and you've just kept practice of it ever since you were taught that lesson. Like I said, like cooking, like cleaning. But there's also other things that are on a negative sense is the way we do misbehave, the way we treat other people in our lives. Um, I feel that we often, we pick up the bad habits as well as the good habits from our parents, or where we're raised as our guardians. We'll say our guardians. For instance, like you always bring an example of the single mother home, how every time that your son or daughter sees that mother or that single parent bring somebody in the house, they show, they observe the treatment of that other individual. Whether it's an argument, a conversation, how they conduct themselves, where they act
Right.
ghettoish, or was it ratchet, or you want to say it, or they could conduct themselves as a perfect gentleman, or a woman. It's we pick up on these things when we're younger, and it sticks with us regardless of how we may, you know, think about it. I think it's on us a lot of times that when we get in that situation as we get older, how we conduct ourselves in that kind of manner in the situation, in
Right.
a sense. And I think a lot of people, because it hit me one time when somebody uh, did something to me, and not saying physically, they hurt me in a way, and their excuse was, "Well, I didn't have a father figure." But I'm like, and after I thought about it, I'm like, wait a minute, here you are, 20 plus years, whatever, and you done went on and do these great things in your life, but you do something to me in a sense that hurts me, and your excuse is because you never had a father figure and a man figure in your life to show you how to conduct yourself as, mind you, I'm a young lady to a young man, which I don't think is, I think it's a cop out to me, and I think that's what I'm more or less. A lot of times we, and it's not to say that the parents were the fault, because like I said, they might have picked that up from the mom, dad, whomever, but at the same time, you have a mind of your own. We have that free will, which we previously talked about,
Right.
you know, to react or not to react
Right.
in a certain manner, because all it was is, like I said, all it was, we had a disagreement. Um, I put my foot down, and I got treated as if you know, did something outrageously wrong. So, I mean, I think when we start saying that we're grown and we're adults, we also have the right mind to not to, yeah, there's a time to act, but not necessarily to react, in a sense.
I understand. No, it's funny, and actually, when you said that, it actually really,
It registers, don't it?
yeah.
You think about
Oh, the
it.
whole thing registered. But one part you said, growing up without a father never bothered her until something negative.
Right.
How many people in life right now have gone on to do great things, but when something negative comes in the picture, that's when they want to use that as their
You
trump
still
card.
Trump, yeah. And I
So
think it's a total wrong.
you know
It's wrong.
you know you wrong, you know it's
Right.
wrong, but you feel like as long as you have that trump card, you can do people the way you want to do. I think it's another show in itself.
It is.
Um,
It is another show in itself.
but you first off, wow, we pick up on things from our parents whether they're there or not.
Right.
Nonverbal, verbal, even in the midst of our DNA, and this has been scientifically proven. If we'll just say with animals, you can't have a dog born and separated from his parents and it still knows it's a dog.
Right.
A cat separated from all animals. So even in the midst of our DNA, we can still be separated from one or both parents and still have their mannerisms without even being around them.
True.
We just don't know why we do the things we do. But what used to be the saying of the older people in our community when they saw someone acting a certain way, you act just like your father.
Right.
Even if you're not around him, even he's not around you, you just like him.
Uh,
What has mothers said to their male children when the father's not at home? You just like your damn daddy. I don't know my daddy.
man. Well, she did a daddy when she lay down with him. I mean,
Or maybe there was some ways that she did his father, she is doing him, creating the same situation. But that's another topic for another discussion.
okay.
So you got multiple in
Yeah,
there.
I guess it goes many directions.
Yeah,
with it.
but to stick with it, you are absolutely 100% right when you say the impact of parenting is not really noticed until you become an adult.
Yourself, right?
And it's so crazy how you don't understand. There's no perfect parents, and I always say that. And I always give my philosophy of the three fathers. I say you have your wartime father, which I always said was James Evans. He was the wartime father because
Right.
he had to be a father during a particular time in history where there was a lot of gang violence and stuff. They was in Chicago.
Chicago.
Okay, yeah, they was in Chicago. Yeah. They had the peacetime father, which was Bill Cosby. He had to navigate the waters of actually being prosperous and guiding his children in a way where they didn't feel like they were entitled, but they understood their purpose. And then I always say, Uncle Phil, he was in between because he was a father biologically and as a surrogate to Will, and he had to navigate both of them to not make either one feel less, but all of them to feel inclusive. So I always say, for me, those are the three versions of parenting.
Okay.
So what we learn from our parents is how to become an adult. That's actually what they teach us. They're literally teaching us how to become an adult, verbally, non-verbally, on purpose and not on purpose, because you brought up some bad habits. How many of us have been around parents who gossip? And then all of a sudden, you may fall into that category. How many of us been around parents who have habits? You pick up them habits. So your first idol or the first person you fall in love with is your parents.
Right.
Because that's the first person who you can look at to say, I either want to be like, or
they have that direct influence on you.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, that is I like this subject.
Yeah, it's true, man. Because you think about it, a lot of times, regardless who you look like or how you act, even your grandparents, there's certain things that, because you live with your grandmother, your grandparents as well, and there's certain things that were ingrained in us that we didn't know was ingrained in us until you sit back and think about it.
Yeah.
You're like, well, damn. And you try to do it in the manner in which they did it, whether it's a certain recipe, how they clean the house, how they, like you said, conduct business over the phone, or how they gossip if they gossip. I mean, it's just a thing of that's just we do. You know, we do it regardless of whether we notice it or not. Other people notice. You know,
you're right.
Some people pay attention. Dad, you sound just like your dad. You said the same thing your dad just said. Like you said, you know, whether it's a good thing or a negative thing.
Right.
You know, and we oftentimes, you know, I think a lot of times we regret certain things. I think sometimes and I mean regret, we wish that, you know, we didn't pick these things up. But like I said, it's a thing that we naturally do. You know, like you said, we observe the verbal and nonverbal,
Right.
and we pick these things up. You know, we you know, and it brings the best or the worst out of us. It can go either way.
No,
and
no,
in that
yeah.
situation which I brought up, it supposedly brought the worst out of this individual, which I still to this moment think, okay, whatever. Feel how you want to feel.
Right.
But everybody has the excuse to scapegoat. I think this. Once you get past 15, 16 years old, you cognizant. You very cognizant.
You know right from wrong.
You know right from wrong. You know right from wrong from the beginning when you're young.
Yeah.
But you're cognizant of consequences.
That's
If I can say it in that
yeah.
kind of way, you're cognizant of your consequences. You know, the consequences of you going to school, of you not going to school. You know, hey, you going to school and I give you a full effort in class, or hey, you give me a full effort in class. You know, or hey, or you know, running behind a girl or a guy. You know, smoking cigarettes, weed, or whatever, or drinking alcohol. You know, you cognizant of these things. You know,
right. And you know, the elders used to say it is very important for you to know your family, so you know your habits, because a lot of habits are ingrained in our DNA, but not as so. Like they say, you know, scientifically, alcoholism can be passed down.
True. I understand. I can see that.
They say that. I say I will never dispute that, because I do believe that if you come from two parents who are one parent that is the alcohol is so important to them, it becomes embedded in the DNA. I do believe they can pass that gene off to you.
Yeah.
However, I also think what's passed off to you is watching them and paying attention to how they move. And I think that's a greater impact if you see in your parent drinking, but not just drinking, if you see what triggers their drinking. And we had to stop before it could either push you to drinking, or you could go so far left that you rebuke anything that resembles alcohol.
Right.
So even in the midst of that, the major influence of the parent is still there.
Yeah.
And a lot of times even the person that runs from alcohol sometimes ends up running to alcohol.
Yeah, it does happen.
Or they run into alcohol in another version of who they date.
No.
So the influence of our parents, it goes real deep, because we pick up their triggers.
Right.
How they handle, like you made the statement, you know, how they conduct business. You know, if your parents were the type of parents that robbed Peter to pay Paul, in a sense, like everybody hates Chris. There was this episode where Chris' mom always paid the bills. She had a system.
Right.
One day his father paid the bills. And here was the difference. The father paid the bills out.
Right.
Because in his mind, we got the money, let's pay it.
Right.
Her mind, she put a little bit on the bills just to keep them going. He didn't understand that.
Right.
Now, in his mind, if you had the money, pay it out. Because my grandmother had always said that. She said it is better to have your bills paid and have no money than to owe.
I can understand that.
And so in his mind, he was like, let's go and pay it. She put, so if you're in a household and you're watching that, you're either gonna go one way, you're either gonna be the type that just floats money onto bills. Well, how does that affect you? Because when you get older, you find yourself trying to cut deals to pay your bills.
You got to catch up.
Yeah, you about to catch it up.
Right.
So what
Right.
do you become? A person who's always behind.
Right.
And or you could be the one that just pays them straight out. But one thing you will notice is the conflict.
Right.
Because as a child, you're watching the conflict of, why are my parents arguing if the goal is to pay the bills?
Right.
So now you're going to be in a situation where that's going to be probably a trigger in your home.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't explained to you how to maneuver in that. And that's where a lot of times as parents, we forget. And I won't say we forget. We get so caught up in life that we don't understand that that's a teachable moment.
Mm.
And I'm guilty of that too.
And
we'll just do stuff around our children and not realizing that might be the moment where we might need to sit down and explain why is this way.
Yeah.
And instead of them looking at it and thinking that's normal, because sometimes that's not
right.
normal. It's not normal and I always talk from the Black side of the house. Even though you heard in the Black community of doing that, that's not normal.
Right.
But how many generations have already picked up on that?
True.
How many generations go around barely paying their bills?
Right.
How many people will literally look at their rent money and something that they want and already have in their mind and say, hey, if I do this, I have to the 15th to pay it. Even though I might pay a late fee.
Right.
I could
you stretch it.
Yeah. That's not normal.
No, it's not normal.
But if you grew up in that household, parents didn't sit
down. You see it and watch explain them. Because, for instance, like my grandparents, every Monday evening, between the news and before the primetime shows came on, we went over the bills every Monday.
That's dope.
There's bills for bills that's supposed to be paid, and the bills that are going to be paid from the next week and the following week.
Right.
And they figure it out. What money's coming in, what needs to go out. By the time everything goes out, what else needs to be paid around that time? What we have left after everything's paid out. Hey, that sort of deal. That's something I've always observed them do. It's an excellent practice to have. Like you said, you should always have certain rituals going on to where your kids see you doing adult things.
Now, just imagine how you just explained that. So moving forward, when you was dating and stuff, and y'all may happen to be serious enough where either y'all may have stayed together or y'all close enough to where you monitoring each other's bills, how often have you seen a person that you was dating? You was like, I don't like the way you pay bills.
Probably a few times.
Exactly.
A few times.
Because you're looking at them like, how do you pay bills that way? That doesn't make sense.
Right.
That was, you didn't know.
Right.
Just watching two adults actually go over bills made you realize that I don't want to go with someone that don't know how to do bills the right way in your mind. But that was just nonverbal. Right. That wasn't even you involved. Yeah, but just imagine if they set you down and actually said, this is what we're doing, this is why we're doing it. You might be ruthless with people. Then you might be like, if you ain't doing it this way. But see, that's good because that was a good habit that was taught.
Right.
And that's a lot of times we don't realize how these habits get picked up. If your parents aren't clean as far as, they don't do clean up and things like that, chances are you going to follow that same path until you run up against someone that going to change that. It's going to cause friction. If your parents if you saw your parents struggle with addiction, you may actually struggle with addiction. And that's not just addiction with drugs. That's even addiction to you seeing maybe one of your parents stepping out on the other. Be honest with you, people, we think we are doing stuff so quietly.
Right.
And children are watching us to where now they can't have a stable relationship because their trust is gone or they think that's normal.
True. I can see that.
So the influence of the parents and how they maneuver is crazy. And I think a lot of times if as parents we understood the importance of being a parent, maybe we wouldn't try to do the things, or maybe we'll be more responsible in doing stuff. I think
and receptive of what's going on.
That. Yeah, I like that a lot because you have a situation where you more worried about having your fun. You hear more about having your fun. You hear more about living your life. You hear more about all these other stuff, but you never heard that from generations ago because once you was a parent, you was a parent.
Right.
What life?
Right. Oh, true.
Quick.
So true.
It's true. What
Right.
life? You know,
Exactly. Like they may be a 1 or 2 nights each month that they be able to do adult things, but even then, those were just adults doing their thing. You know,
there was a door. You always talk. You know, you bring this up. There was a place where the child had a cutoff point. Like, yes, I am your parent, but this is your cutoff point, though. So that means that this on this side of the door is where my time is.
right.
This side of the door is our time. Once I hit this door, you are supposed to be over here,
Right.
upstairs. You're not nowhere near this. But I think now you don't have that door anymore. So it's open, it's fluent, as they
Right.
like to say. So now the child feels more involved in being the parent,
Right.
more involved of being the parent, more involved with telling the parent about the parent.
Right.
And there's no curtain anymore. And I think that that's part of the issues of why you see a lot of things going wrong, because the parents aren't trying to be parents anymore. They're just
because
trying
they treat the kids like equals, and the
Yeah.
kids see themselves as equals. That's the thing. That's like I said. That's like if Nani were to come in that door right now and say, "Dad, I need you to go downstairs and fix my dinner right now. Fix me something to eat." You know, you probably have the crazy look on your face, like you seriously, you really, And some parents would say, "Oh, let me stop what I'm doing. Let me go take care of my kid." Let me, which, yeah, you take care of your kid, but right now you on your time.
right.
As long as they're fine in the beginning, in the first place, they should know where everything is at. And at the age that she is, she should know how to at least fix a damn sandwich and some chips and some ramen noodles. Her thing's ramen noodles. So,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So, I mean, it's not I think we've gotten away from, like you said, parents and kids being parents and kids, and that's a parents and kids trying to be friends.
Right.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with having TikTok, but I wouldn't have a TikTok. Even then, that's for the little kids. I do a little bit of social media, but we shouldn't have the same. We shouldn't have the same kind of the same pictures. We have the same nothing on
I'm gonna say this, and I don't care who it offends. If you are doing any of these social media fads with your child, you are wrong. And you are wrong. You are wrong. You are wrong.
You don't want to do the money challenge? Why not? You want to do the money challenge?
No money. We ain't sitting there
line up some quarters and say you broke.
We ain't gonna sit there and do those dance.
Yeah.
First off, if you're a grown woman doing booty dance with your daughter, you have lost sense of reality. If you're a grown woman and you sitting there talking about we're twins, you lost the sense of reality. I'm here to tell you, you have got parenting wrong, because your child is looking at you like,
you say y'all shouldn't be into the same stuff.
No,
I mean,
it's one thing to have bonding, and bonding is,
right.
If bonding will probably consist of me being
when I get
sexist.
21, y'all gonna go to the club and hang out together?
We ain't going to the club. I ain't sharing a drink with you or nothing.
I mean,
I ain't sharing a drink with you. Yeah. I ain't stopping you from drinking, but me and you ain't.
We
may be at a restaurant, and we may have a drink at a restaurant.
God bless you with a son, and he turns 18. I mean, y'all just gonna go to the beach and chase women? Okay. So I mean, hey, just asking, man. I mean, like I said,
that's Spencer Kane.
I
can see him doing that too.
So let's go out to the beach.
Yeah. Dad, put a shirt on. What you talking about? Honestly, it's crazy. So when you're younger and before you become a parent, you think you're gonna be that parent, like, I'll be that cool parent, you know what I'm saying? But when you get older, you realize, no, but that's something you talked about, because something kicks in to make you realize you don't want to go down that path. Something kicks in, something that has happened in the process of you growing up kicked in and said, that does not make sense.
No, it don't make sense.
My mother, my father, my grandparents never did that with me. Not that they didn't have fun with, not that we didn't have our bonding time,
right?
But they wasn't trying to be as a well famous producer / CEO said, all up in our videos. All up in the videos. They wasn't trying to be that. They wasn't trying to be dancing with us and everything. They may have that the old music playing, come here and do a little dance. All right, now take your little nappy head upstairs.
Time's up.
Exactly.
Hey, come do a little dance. All right.
Go make it room. And then something like that, when you get older, you had that little period where you're like, nah, I'm gonna be the different, I'm saying? They're gonna think we twins, I'm saying? They gonna be bringing the children home, they gonna be like, oh, that's your dad. Then you realize, no, that don't make no damn sense. It made no damn sense. I'm not doing that. No, that don't make sense. But that's where it comes in, where that particular set of skills that your parents taught you, which was probably nonverbal, was like, okay, wow, yeah, you're right. That didn't make sense. I want you to be the cool parent. Now I realize why you shouldn't have been the cool parent. Right. I wish you gave me more freedom, but I realized why you didn't give me more freedom. You know what I'm saying?
A lot of people don't understand that. And then the crazy thing is, like with me, because my uncle always say this, he gets jealous so bad when he brings this up. When I moved back in with when I moved South Carolina, live with my
y'all around the same age.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
So we're like 10 years apart. It's like 9-10 years apart. So yeah, that's the thing too. So yeah, because he keeps saying like, yeah, if my dad, your dad would have had with your mom 10 years sooner, yeah, we'd have been in the same school. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Shoot, that's your problem now. You're trying to do too much like me. But yeah, so yeah, when I stayed there for my last few years of high school, like I had no curfew. But see, but my uncles and my dad always had a curfew.
Right.
But like I said, I'm the grandchild, so it worked out.
It's different.
It's different. Like I said, it's different though. But like you said, I was within reason though. I didn't make sure Navy came in too late because she let me know, hey, you have no curfew. But keep in mind, Monday through Friday, you got school.
Right.
And Sundays, I want you to go to church. I was like, and you know what? And a lot of times certain Sundays I didn't go to church. I go play football with the guys. So it was cool with that. But I made sure I was back home in time for Monday.
Right.
Get myself ready for school the next day, Monday through Friday. That was the thing. Hey, make sure my grades were good. Make sure everything important. Like I said, they gave me that leeway to be responsible as well. And I think a lot of people, like you said, there's certain reasons why they restrict certain freedoms.
Right.
And sometimes they just got to trust you with certain freedoms.
And honestly, and not to be funny, you were different than them. They may have done things to be restricted.
There you go.
And you never gave them that
right. Exactly. And that was the thing too, because
so your uncle seems like he will push the envelope.
He's I used to watch push the envelope. Like one quick story. Like when I used to come visit when I was younger, my grandmother used to make me go with him everywhere. Sometimes he used to hate that. So what he used to do, he'd go around the corner to his friend Urban's house and drop me off because he had a nephew, me and him about the same age.
Oh, Johnny. Oh, okay.
And they go do whatever, But it was cool though,
right?
Because she would turn around, his mom would call my grandmother, let them know, hey, yeah, your grandson is here. Okay. So, and that first time grandma told us, don't take him around that corner, chop him off. Right. He'd do it anyway, One time I saw him getting a fight. I'm gonna bring that up too one time too, right across the street. He wasn't supposed to be fighting either, but yeah. But even still, you're right. It depends on the individual. Like you said, they knew their children enough to know that, you know what? Nah, fool, I need you home at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
On Fridays, I need you home at 11. Saturdays, 11. Mm-hmm. And if you restrict that, you just won't go nowhere. You be here at 9 o'clock. You like I said, it depends on your who that child is.
And also a lot of people don't realize it's supposed to get easier.
Right.
Because you're supposed to learn from the mistakes of your parents because your parents are supposed to teach you that. So
right.
They probably felt more comfortable with you knowing that what they have done with your father.
Right.
And now knowing that your father, how they would say the military structured him, that you wouldn't be like that.
Right.
So, that's the part of the change. And, even in that, it shows the parenting of saying how you navigate between generations.
Yeah.
Because they could have raised you the same way they raised them.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
you may have went worse because it'd be like, why am I being penalized for
Right.
this? And how many people are like that? How many people
True.
get penalized for a generation before them, for a brother
Yeah.
or sister who are older, and
Right.
also because what they did,
just like my younger siblings, like they get away with everything. Like they do whatever the hell they want to do. I was like, what the hell, man? So, but I mean, you're right. You know, it goes back to what you're saying. That we being parented through guilt, we being parented discipline, being parented through, you know, being responsible and accountable. I mean, yeah, it's you know, you just don't know.
right.
Like I said, my parents were pretty cool about it. You know, they kept us in line, but at the same time, they allowed us in certain situations to make our own decisions, to learn the results of the results and consequence of making that decision.
Right.
You know, and you learn to live with it.
No, and you know, it's crazy. And one thing I like to circle back to, I want people to understand, there's nothing wrong with having fun time with your children.
Right.
So
when you and I get the same, she get 21, your fun time's gonna be at the club.
No.
Okay.
No. I'm glad you brought that up. I can't. Being a male, number one,
right.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Right. That's still what that one look right. You hanging out with daughter and friends.
She'll be mad at me because I'll be done killed every guy in the club, and then it'll be fun, and then first I would be like, why are you here? And then it'd be weird. But it's just, I don't think this, in our iteration of being parents, we don't understand the consequences of opening that Pandora's box, because it is a slippery slope. And I know a lot of parents think that, no, you could do it and still, and I'm like, no, you can't, because once you cross streams.
Right, because for instance, like you said, you cross that stream, if your son were to see you at the club, hanging out, talking to women, taking them to the, you know, but then first thing you'll say, well, Dad, how you expect me to be such and such way? But I remember we get to the club a couple times, you took Shorty back there in the bathroom, and, you know, then you went back and got a friend, and then y'all went back with both of them, and, you know, yeah, and that does happen.
It does.
It does happen. Same thing with the females. It's like, you know, at one point when I was coming up in my young adult age, there were daughters and mothers hanging out, and sometimes even a grandmother might be in the mix on arm, you know, in that little circle, you know. And the minute this, you know, they get a little disagreement, they put each other's spirits out there. Nah, B, remember that so you made a club? Did you go in the parking lot and da la 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 la? Or did you go back to the hotel? La la la. Did you just bring her back to the house and in the kitchen or in the, you know, like you said, because they all went out, they thinking they're friends, they're all equal, you know, but then they find out, oh no, you don't talk to me your mother that way. Oh, now you my mama.
Exactly.
Oh, now you my daddy. Now that I saw you do so and so with A, B, and C, and then I saw you do, you know, subtract, add, and multiply and divide to the power of such and such. Now you're on a square box X, you know, square box rectangle circle. Okay, cool. You know,
and you know, here's the myth that we got to throw out there, and we'll go ahead and say this: they're not younger. Your grandparents actually were younger parents than the parents now.
True. I believe so.
And that's the myth that people say, you know, they're just younger now. No, your grandparents are actually younger. If you really started, when they started having kids, when y'all started having kids, well, 9 out of 10, this is not to be funny. It was probably between 16 and 21.
Right.
They were probably already married by the time they were 16 and 21, or they were together forever to that point. True. So it's like, you know, that to throw that out the way. And number 2, you should never be in competition with your children. If I had a son and I'm in competition with him, if he brings a girl home and I'm knowing that this girl is looking at me, so I wear a tighter shirt, Spencer Kane. Now let me stop. Let me stop. Before people be like, is Spencer Kane really like? Nah, he ain't like that. Let me stop. Yeah, I just like I just think he's gonna be funny as a parent. It's gonna be funny. He's gonna be one of the extremes. It's like he either gonna be the coolest extreme ever, or he gonna be the strictest extreme ever. Because it's just gonna be one of them.
Wow.
But
yeah, girls, what you think?
exactly.
What you think about that picture over there?
Hey son, when we gonna go hang out? Like what? Really? But no, and it's funny you say that because if I had a male son, and I see some fathers like this, it's like you trying. I should not be around my son when he has female friends over. Right. And I say that not to say that I should allow them to be running through my house. When I was younger, I did make this. I'll just get my son.
Yeah, I remember you made that comment a long time ago.
Hell no. Wisdom stepped in and said, Marshawn, look at you. You remember your life. Nah, let's no, but it's saying that I shouldn't be down there trying to compete with him. And I think a lot of parents do compete with their children, male and female parents. Both genders, they compete with their children. They compete for that attention. That's why they want to be like, oh, look at we look like brothers, we look like sisters.
No, to say that.
I'm like, no, you look like the wrinkled version of them, which means you're the parent. I mean, it's okay.
Now you like you sit your ass down so you look like
exactly. But we got to this point to do that, and that's why I said social media has created this narrative that we should be doing these things. No, I should not be on social media with my son doing everything. I don't want to be doing it with my daughter. We ain't sitting there doing no dances. I ain't doing nothing.
First, they doing push-up competition.
Yeah, I was just being like, look at us, come on, yeah. Man, you're a whole married man. What you doing on here trying to be foolish with your son? Like, man, it just, as parents, we just got this notion. You said it. We want to be friends. It's like we want to go away from how we was raised. Now realizing how we was raised was important because it gave us boundaries.
True.
That key word that everybody keeps trying to remove away from society. Boundaries.
Right.
Labels, they're very important, especially in parenting.
Right.
Because as soon as you remove that, then you leave everything open for people to just start looking at you, or your children rather start looking at you like, who are you really?
Right.
Like, I know you're my parent, but you are starting to do things that shouldn't be doing, So some of us had a cool uncle, and this is why I say, these things always existed, but it never really existed in a home to a certain extent. Some people had a cool uncle who will say, man, come here, take a sip of this. You take a sip of it. Like, yeah. You taste it, yeah. Don't let me catch you drinking it again. And you go about your business.
Right.
Or, you may have had a father who may have set you down one day and said, here, and you crack it over, you drink, you're like, oh, it was like, yeah, you trying to be a man, huh? And they just, you just having a talk, but not like, you see now where parents are really enjoying this stuff with their children, like they're really involved. I'm like, yeah, I'm not trying to be involved.
Right.
But I like this subject because it does open up not only just how to parenting, but different parenting styles, but more importantly, the importance of parenting and the importance of just not only parenting in the verbal, but the non-verbal. You brought up some things as far as watching, how your interaction is with the opposite sex. And I had to really monitor that with Nani. And I didn't realize how much influence me dealing with the opposite sex would have on her.
Right.
And, so it's very important. I mean, a lot of parents don't realize that children watch you, even when you think they're not watching you.
Because they feel that it gets ingrained in the back of it. It's just like when you drive. Like, because I remember riding with my mom and dad, certain feelings, ways you make turns, it's like, okay, in a sense, you will learn to drive.
Right.
In a sense. Their habits, okay, the car's supposed to feel this way when you turn right, or when you turn left. When you come to a stop, when you're supposed to jerk, unless it's a sudden stop, stop. It's certain things, hey, when you go in at a certain speed, the car's gonna get a certain feeling. You know, it's the same way with everything else. You know, when you're in a disagreement, you're gonna yell, you're gonna shout, you're gonna point fingers, you're gonna grab somebody, you're gonna get aggressive, you're gonna how you know it's ingrained to you to say, you know what, and you do it subconsciously.
Right.
You do it subconsciously because you like you said, you picked it up. Like okay, you upset, you don't like what the person's saying. You remember your mom or your dad jump on somebody, grabbing them by the throat. That's how you react because you don't like what they said. You know, or you punch them in the face, you stab them in the mouth.
How many people have seen
punch them in the stomach?
You're right. How many people have seen their parents go to blows and then next thing you know they're hugging and kissing? So automatically you think that's normal.
Think that's what he's supposed to be. Yeah, you're right. You think it's normal. That's the crazy thing. You know, you think it's normal for you to be single because other people in your family, other family members are single, you know, and it makes you and you empowered and you feel strong that way.
Yeah. Honest to God, it's crazy how that's actually true. How you can see generations of single people. You can see, and I'll do both, so people don't think I hate women. You could do. You
hate women, dude.
You see generations of single women in a family, and you can see generations of men having multiple children.
True. Very true.
Multiple women.
True.
So that lets you know these are learned traits. They're watching and they think this is normal. And these are things that are not normal, but because we have put them in a sense of being normalized and having this notion that it looks good, you know.
Because we're conditioned to think that. We're conditioned, like I said, even though it's subconsciously ingrained from the first time we see it, you see it repeatedly, it's conditioned in you to do it. Your reaction, however you dress yourself, it's cool being independent or whatever, but it's not cool that, you know, it's not cool that you're independent. Why is it not cool that you're independent? What is it not cool?
We'll take an exit on this.
You want to detour that one?
All right.
I know it's something you want to say so bad. I see your face, but let's say. Let's back off that one. So
no. Let's take a detour real quick. We'll get.
Oh, you want to go back to it?
Yeah, no, we'll get back on the highway. And this is a question I want to ask because I think this is important.
Okay.
In this, what man has ever said they want an independent woman?
I said,
like that was a prerequisite.
I know on TV shows.
Exactly, TV. There has never been a man in history that has actually said, "I want an independent woman." A man may have said
it's not a man. Let's say a foolish boy would say something.
Okay, fair. Most and this is why I say that because it ties into parenting and more importantly why we have roles. The other thing, how many times have you heard women say, "My beauty keeps being men won't talk to me because I'm so beautiful"? Well, that's a lie too. And I'm about to expose both of these. Let's start with the one I just said.
Right.
Men are naturally attracted to beautiful items. That is ingrained in us. We will get a car, no matter the weather, we'll still go out there and clean it.
Okay.
So we'll beautify that car.
Okay.
We'll buy a house and we'll maintain that house. We'll go fix on the roof. We'll change the cabinets out. We'll do everything to make sure that house is beautiful.
Okay.
So why wouldn't I go talk to a beautiful woman? If my whole DNA says my wealth is beautiful.
What you deem as beautiful.
Is what you deem as beautiful. Yeah. So when I garner wealth,
right,
that's beautiful. Like I'm always as a man, I'm actually the curator of beautification. That's what I do.
I got you. Okay.
That's what we do as men.
Okay.
So if you're a woman and you stand up here saying men are not coming to you because they're intimidated by your beauty, you are actually lying. Because in life, men, that's what we do.
Okay.
I
see your point. We trophies. What attracts. Yeah. Right.
Come on now. Before women were into degrees, men would have how many degrees on their wall? So we are curated. That's what we do.
Okay.
So that right there is the biggest lie. The other lie is the fact that men Men never woke up and said they want an independent woman. No man has ever said that they wanted a woman who was just so self-sufficient that she did not need him. That's the biggest lie. Why? A man will literally take care of a prostitute.
Okay.
And I know that sounds crazy.
It does sound crazy, but
man,
there's nothing new coming from you.
No, but I'm gonna tell you why. Because we are designed to take care of women.
Okay.
And we're designed for women to need us and to meet their needs. So
in other words, we're designed to feel wanted.
Right. So if a woman comes to you, and I use the word prostitute, if you had dealings with what people would consider low, and if a man has had dealings with a woman that was like low, I guarantee you that woman has seen a man reach out to her to help her. So in other words, in her need, a man was there. So in essence, it's not, no man doesn't want an independent woman. I don't want an independent woman because an independent woman is me. Okay. So your independence is a threat to who I am. Why would I want that? Because if we both walking in the house and you so independent that you don't want me touching you, you so independent that I know a lot of people, you go into the stream, know when you say independent, you really don't know what you're saying, because independence is being separated. We fought for independence. This country stood up for independence. So let's keep this real. Like, y'all don't understand these words. I walk in the house, you don't want nothing to do with me, or you reminding me how independent you are. Guess what happens? You get cheated on, and then you be looking like, wow, look at the woman he cheated on.
Well, Boosie did a song about independent women. INDEP.
And what woman he got? No man wants
kids though, man.
He got kids, but he ain't got no independent woman. In other words, no man
got her own house. Got her own.
Beyonce lied to y'all, and I think that it has to be said, because when
she said put a ring on it. Go ahead.
She did say put a ring on it.
Go ahead.
She also said this for my independent women.
Right.
There's a lot of independent women out there, but they ain't married.
They got a ring on it? Okay.
But the reason why I bring that up and how it all ties in together is if you realize the nature of men and understanding how that was passed down to men, you realize that men never wanted that. No father ever taught his son to have an independent woman. He may have taught his son to not allow a woman to use him. May have taught his son to say, find a woman who's about something.
Okay.
But he ain't never set his son down and said, you want an independent woman. He never said that. And if you find one that has, please tell him to call me, because we're gonna have a lot to talk about, because he set his son up for failure. No man has ever set a son down and said, you need an independent woman. Even as a father, and you have children, and you as a father of young girls, you never told her to be too independent. What you said was, make sure you are straight, but also make sure he comes to the table with something. You always ingrained in her, yes, you make sure you have and don't depend on him. However, make sure when he comes to the table, you don't get no bum. You make sure he comes to the table correct. Matter of fact, you will hope that the image of a man that she bring home will resemble you if you are in that light.
Right. Makes a lot of sense.
Not one time no parent on earth that's a true parent has ever said have an independent woman. Even the mothers never said that. What mother said, son, go get you an independent woman? No woman ever.
Okay, because you made your point, independent.
But now we get back on highway. I just think that's important, because as parents, that's the non-teaching.
Okay.
That's when you are a single parent and your child watches you and how you maneuver. That's where that independence comes from, because now they don't know how to become dependable or dependent on with another sex, because they're watching you and how you maneuver, and it goes both ways.
Okay, they're not learning companionship.
Exactly. So, you're teaching that to them when you should be. I'm not saying, and one thing I think people need to understand, I'm not saying have multiple people run into your house, but understanding that they need to see you. They need to see how you interact with the other parent.
Yeah. Good point. That's a good point. I like that, man. So I think we're about to wrap this up, man. A very valid subject. We may touch on this again. Like you said, we could go in many directions with it. I mean, we threw like a, you know, one of the Spider-Man nets, run from electric company, the Spider-man net. You know, it's actually a little big ass cargo net. Yeah,
I'll tell you this. I like this.
Yeah, so we visit again. Maybe we'll have a guest or two. If you like to be a guest or whatever when the subject comes about, please let us know. Reach out. Do not hesitate to subscribe, share, comment, put in your input, maybe get more output. Continue to, support us as well, and anything you would like to say?
I love you, Jimmy G. If you win today, I'm gonna do the same thing that Kittles did last week. I'm gonna buy a shirt with you on it, shirtless, that says "I love Jimmy G."
Right. So
I'm gonna do the same for you, Kyrie.
You do that. Instagram, Twitter, Anchor. Let the madness begin on Anchor. SoundCloud. What's up with stuff? We'll get there soon.
You know what? We owe you this, and this is where we're holding ourselves accountable. By the 28th of February, SoundCloud will be up. No longer will we say SoundCloud is coming by the 28th. We gave ourselves a date. I thought about that, and I was like, we keep saying it because we're doing everything else, but we haven't done sound. So the 28th SoundCloud, which means I'm holding myself accountable, my part on it.
Twitter, SoundCloud, Instagram. You got to the 28th to change your name on Instagram.
Yeah, 28th.
Okay. All right, so you got that too. Instagram, YouTube, Facebook Live. Am I missing anything?
We will be back on Anchor. We're going to start putting more of our stuff back on Anchor. I know we kind of slid away from Anchor a little bit, but we're going to get back onto the Anchor. So
I think we want to slide back into Instagram Live too, just to do a little something.
Yes, definitely.
Snapchat, I believe. Are we doing anything on Snapchat?
We haven't done anything on Snapchat lately, but I think we're going to start doing that. Okay. Especially when we do 2 Exposure, we're going to start doing more behind the scenes of that.
And don't forget 2exposure.com, the number 2, xpsou.com. Trips, events, other stuff, other shows, other people, collaborations coming about, and so forth. Anything else you like to input?
Man, we thank you. And man, I'm telling you, when we say
it's still cuffing season, people. Still cuffing season.
Yeah, it was frost on the car, so they know it was time for that. Well, one thing we want to let y'all know is we're really taking this serious. And I like to bring that up because a lot of times your hobbies can either stay a hobby or they could become your profession. And we're taking this serious. You're going to see a lot of changes, and you're going to see a lot of changes within a couple of months of how we maneuver, how we operate, just even the difference in the cameras and stuff. We're going to evolve because we knew we started in 2018. Was it 2017?
Yeah, it's like 16, 17.
Okay, so we started then and up till now. So it's time for the next step in our evolution. We're about to make that next step. So stay tuned. You about to see a lot of amazing things coming from us.
My Sean's he's gonna evolve into a real college basketball Tar Heels fan. Hey, evolution. You go from being the low Blue Devil on up to the Tar Heels, on top of the top notch. But okay. Something wrong with your fingers?
That's our ranking.
Huh?
That's what we're ranking.
Y'all smell that bad? Y'all smell bad at number 6? Okay. I got you. Okay. Yeah, you do rank.
February is love month, and it's also backyard playground month. So we'll find out in about 2 weeks what y'all are about.
What did y'all reckon last year? Did y'all make the tournament last year?
They didn't have a tournament last year.
They didn't have a tournament last year.
Ain't nobody playing the tournament.
Yeah.
Who won?
Right. You're right. Nobody played the tournament. That's right. Y'all didn't play it.
It's okay.
But go ahead.
Zion gonna be at that game.
What's Zion gonna do? Come off the court? You be the mascot?
He gonna be cheering us on.
With
matter of fact, everybody gonna wear the new Zion shoe.
New Zion shoe? I don't know. He may blow a tire on that one too. But okay. But yeah, but thank you for watching. Please subscribe. Please like. Please let your friends know we out there. Let your family know we out there. Until next time, we out. Woo!